Hey folks, welcome back. Motormind here. So we're doing another quick review of another mechanic, but this time it is not Scotty Kilmer. I think I have found another channel who might be even worse and more dodgy than old Scotty. So hey, let's have a look and see what they have to say. Motormind. Alright, so there's a channel called Handsome or Handy. It looks like they do a lot of just like different like DIY maintenance stuff. They have a few things. Looks like they have a shop. I don't know if they do professional automotive or they're just kind of backyard guys. It looks like they just kind of do bits of all sorts of stuff. But just a couple quick ones here. So there's two videos I'm going to do because they're only shorts. I haven't seen if they have a main channel or only do shorts. And the first one is doing a wheel bearing, and right away they start off doing some really dodgy, shifty stuff. And so let's have a look, and we'll see what we can break down and what we can see if we can correct a few things here.
This past week, while I was at
So right away you can see that they're using the emergency scissor jack that comes with the vehicle to be doing actual maintenance and disassembly of this vehicle, this wheel bearing. These are only designed for doing a quick tire change on the side of the road to take your flat tire off and put your spare tire on. They're not meant to be holding the vehicle for long periods of time, and they can fall. The vehicle can shift on them quite easily, kind of go sideways or forward or backwards. Or I have seen where sometimes these scissor jacks do fail. So do not be using something like this to be holding the vehicle up where you're doing any kind of maintenance or any kind of repair. Do quick tire change is okay, but don't use it for anything more.
I was at a leadership conference. Joel had an issue with the wheel bearing on his car. And for the local site supervisor, it was bring your kids to work week. Between the two of us, we had all the tools we needed.
Let's point out, I don't know why they're doing emergency repair on this vehicle in the parking lot at a conference. A wheel bearing doesn't up and just suddenly go out of nowhere. It's going to have been making some sort of noise and been showing signs of wear and failure for a long time. It wouldn't have just up and gone when it happened to go into this leadership conference where it was at, and that now they have the emergency repairs in the parking lot. This is a simple lack of maintenance, lack of fixing something, and to the point where he's obviously thought he could push it longer, and now he's gotten to the point now where the bearing has fully collapsed or something has happened where he now has to try to fix this in the middle of the parking lot and putting his health and safety and himself in danger because of a simple just being lazy and slacking and not fixing something when it should have been fixed. So making out like it's just up and gone out of nowhere, that's bullshit. That's not going to have happened, and it's probably been going for a while. It's been a howl that's been starting, and now it's gotten to the point now that it's most like a collapse, which is why he's now decided needs to do this in the parking lot of a hotel. Which, you know, if you get to that, if you're going to be like that, then you should have just took it to a shop where it could be done in a safe and professional manner instead of trying to Mickey Mouse it in a parking lot somewhere. Like I said, without the proper equipment. He says all the equipment. He doesn't have a proper jack stand. He doesn't have a proper jack, and so he's actually doing it in an unsafe manner. Let's move on. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the like button down below. Comment down below. Let me think what you think of this video, and any comments on what I have discussed in this. And don't forget to join. I have started a new kind of you can buy like extra like badges and stuff like that where you can get top priority for comments, as well as I have a like the program where you can get my different tiers. I have 3 different tiers you can do to subscribe, and I'll be putting up some extra stuff there, and as well as I can help out any vehicle maintenance and any maintenance questions. I can go more in depth and be able to help maybe diagnose some problems. So don't forget to sign up for that. Let's move on.
Except some double square sockets. We weren't 100% sure it was the wheel bearing.
Well, that's some commitment there. So they weren't actually sure it was a wheel bearing. So their way of diagnosing it is to rip and destroy the wheel bearing off and hope for the best. I think this would be a much more interesting video if it wasn't the wheel bearing, and now he's got to replace a perfectly good wheel bearing and then try to find the actual cause of whatever has what's ever happened. Either something's failed in the back end. It could have been that his rear brakes were wearing at a funny angle and binding up, and that's what he's got on to me. I think it's the wheel bearings collapsed because the wheel's sitting at a funny angle. Check out my video. I discuss what wheel bearings collapsing. Scotty Kilmer thinks that you should wait until they affect the steering before you change them, and I wholeheartly, completely disagree with that. Check out my video on that. It's I'll see if I can tag it up above here. But yeah, that's a committed. That's a strange way of diagnosing wheel bearing. Let's rip it apart and then see. So he's at the point now. You're replacing wheel bearing if you like it or not. So I sure hope it is the cause of his problem, or else he's replacing perfectly wheel bearing anyways, and then he's got to find the real culprit. And we'd like to have seen that. But let's move on.
But after we pulled it off, we were 100% sure that was the issue. We removed the rust before putting on the new bearing, took some emery cloth and got it cleaned up, and then started the installation process. Now just...
Lucky is just they've had this wheel bearing on a front wheel drive vehicle that the bearing and hub assembly all comes together, and it's not something like a front wheel bearing that had to be pressed out of the hub, out of the steering knuckle, or if it was on like say like a Subaru that is a absolute freaking nightmare to try to get off one of them, or even like a Land Rover where you have to take the whole once again it's a press out even the fronts or the rears, on like some of the on the Volks and stuff like that. So and lucky for them, it was one that was all comes together as a whole assembly, and it was, they were able to get it off and get on with some basic hand tools. Because anything else, then they would have been absolutely SOL, wouldn't they? So yeah, this is a quick little they guys got some luck there, but you shouldn't have let it get to that point in the first place.
Just putting everything back on in reverse order. We didn't have all of the proper tools to do this, but we had enough that we were able to get it done. It'd have been nice to have the proper tools to put these calipers back on, but we were able to make it work. Once they're in place, there's just 2 bolts that go back in from the back.
Whoa, there's some guy who just doesn't take his life very serious, does he? Holy shit, that's just crawling underneath there with that fucking dodgy ass little scissor jack holding that whole car up. Yeah, wow. Some people just got less brains and more freaking guts than they really need to. I mean, I know you've seen the tire behind that one side, but are you going to trust an alloy tire when a 2.5 ton car is falling down right on top of you? And even then, it looked like that was a tight fit. So, and there's a gap between that rim and that sill. And if that sill is even going to hold up well enough, we'll see. It's further back, probably away from the jacking point. The sill is going to collapse if that comes down, and as well as that's going to come down his chest. So, fucking hell, some people just don't have any brains, do they? That's just way too trusting of that dodgy little emergency scissor jack. As for the whole thing about having the proper tools to push your calipers back, I mean, all you really need is maybe a small wrench to either crack off the bleed valve, and like a pry bar or a screwdriver, a couple of screwdrivers, a wrench, a spanner or something like that, and just to press against the going to the top where you have the caliper and on the carrier all together, and just press on that. You can press it right back. You want to press it back very much. He hasn't replaced any of the brake stuff. All you have to do is just press that back about a mil or two, and you'll be able to slide those straight on, no problem. So I don't understand about not having the proper tools, because he's got it off. He hasn't changed anything to the brakes. All he's done is change the wheel bearing. And I said, unless his brakes were kind of riding a bit funny, but even then, a couple wrenches, pop it in there, you can pull those right apart, no problem. It'll push that caliper back. You kind of crack the bleed valve, and so as you do that, you just push some air out, get your buddy to say, and as you do that, just tighten it back up. Or you can take the cap off the master cylinder reservoir, and it'll actually push it up in there, and instead of this help the pressure escapes, you're not blowing the seals to the master cylinder. I've done that for loads for many years, never had a problem. On something like that, it'd work absolutely fine. So yeah, you don't really need special tools. To press it back. I've done it with a G clamp for crying out loud. I did it for years and years and years. The G clamp, I'm still using it now. It works perfectly fine. Never had a problem with that. But yeah, or I said, or if I don't have a G clamp, a large screwdriver, a couple wrenches, like a box end of the wrench, or I just put two of them on there like that and just push them, pull them apart. Man, it'll push that rack no problem. So it helps. But man, him crawling underneath there like that, look underneath. Wow, I wouldn't do that. No, no, thank you. I value my life a bit more than he does, obviously. Let's move on.
On the backside, and since there was a possibility of adding a little bit of air, we bled the brake line.
Once again, if you knows anything about how to push the pads back, push calipers back, you are definitely not going to introduce any air into that system. There's no possibility whatsoever. So, that leads me to believe that this channel, they actually know very little about actually how to do vehicle maintenance repair, any kind of proper way. If he thought somehow he's going to introduce air into the system, I would have to bleed it out by just simply pressing the calipers back a very small amount. Like I said, he isn't replacing anything in the brakes. So there's not, he has to go all the way back and push calipers all the way to the very back. He just has to just push those pads and back just far enough that he can slide over top of the rotor or the disc. So I don't know why he's thinking that. Either he's done something wrong, and he's left the cap open, like the bleed valve open, or he's just an idiot and doesn't know that there's no way air is going to get into that system. And if he presses it back the way you should press it back. All right, let's move on.
Brake lines. You hit everything tight, put the dust cover back on, and then finally the wheel. I'm not sure if the hotel wanted anyone to be doing vehicle maintenance in their parking lot, but we didn't have much choice. This being all the waste that was created, we're done with this, and
I sure hope he torqued up that the axle nut on that properly to the proper spec, as well as torqued up the torqued up those wheel bolts to the proper spec as well. Didn't actually show it in the video, but it is a short, so but just like they say that you should have made sure to torque those up correctly, or else he's going to have a lot more problems than just a rumbling wheel bearing. All right, let's move on to the next one here.
on to the next project, which is dry suit repair.
A quick overview. So I'm going to do another video of theirs, and it's just a tire repair he decides to do, and the method he uses is going to tell you right now. In the areas I live in now, areas I have lived in, this would be an illegal repair. It's okay for a emergency temporary repair to get you to a tire shop to get the repair done correctly. But this, under no certain terms, should be seen as a permanent repair. This is not a good permanent repair. This is for emergency use only. And then also this also where he puts it on this tire is borderline dodgy anyways, and the tire's probably not even repairable. But let's move on. Let's have a look and I'll show you what I mean.
Got a call from Donald, and he's got a hole in his tire. Meet him at the shop. Luckily enough, we have everything on hand to get this fixed. First thing.
Okay, so like what he's just pulled out there, those little string plugs, and especially those little tiny ones like that you buy your local like Canadian Tire or local Pep Boys or whatever, those are temporary repairs. They are not permanent repairs. And in fact, in like where I'm from Canada, that's actually an illegal repair. If a shop were to do that and it'd be seen as that's the repair for tire repairs, then they actually would face a fine. That is only for if you carry any vehicle and have for like a temporary, plug it to get you to a shop to get you a proper real patch put in that would actually is a permanent repair. Those are definitely not for permanent repairs. Those are, like, once again, I'm going to say, are for temporary use only. Do not use those and think that that is fixed and done. Some people may say, I've done it and it's lasted for years. Like, your luck, I've had a vehicle. I rented a vehicle once and I had one of those blow out on me. Out of it. Luckily it was a trailer. And I put a little bit of air in it and the stupid plug blew out. I've heard numerous stories of those. That it was fine and suddenly bam blows out. And now you have a blowout on the highway. Normally on the highway because it's centrifugal force. So yeah, don't use those as permanent repairs.
Thing we're going to do is take the reamer and make the hole a little bit bigger. Once we got.
Okay, you can plainly see that is actually on the shoulder of the tire. Now on radial tires, if you're looking to see if this is like the tire, let's see like up and down, like this is the cross from left to right. Radials actually run on an angle; they run this way, and that's the cords they run all the way around, right? So bias ply, I believe, run crossways, and a radial runs like that. So that there, but it's the cords that are under the tread. They're actually only run mainly on the along where the tread is. That's on the shoulder. That's actually not where the radial cords are. That's very it's a weak part of the tire. It's more where for flexing. So they're very thin. The cords are there. In the tread areas where the thicker the parts, that's where it needs to be more rigid and stuff to carry the weight, and obviously it's where in contact with the road and where the heat is. But on the sides for the shoulder, where they've done that, that's usually a thinner, more flexible area, and it will not hold any patch. That patch especially will not hold it very well, and it's actually running the risk of that blowing out. Even if I was in the shop, I would most likely not be wanting to do the repair, and I would say that that's on the shoulder and it's in the unsafe area that's to have a legitimate repair, and that tire needs to be replaced. So I personally, as a professional, I wouldn't do that because it would be my liability if I would do that repair and something would happen. I'd be liable for that, and I would not feel safe and comfortable taking taking that risk, because I don't think that's a a legitimate repair. I don't think that tire that's not placed that that tire can be repaired safely and to have any kind of real permanent repair on that. So that's once again that's a shifty thing. So he's using a inappropriate temporary solution, emergency repair, and he's also repairing it in a unsafe area where it's not going to hold that very well, and it's going to run the risk of that blowing out, or even that crack getting bigger, because it's in a weaker, softer part of the tire.
We got the tire prepared. We're going to grab the plugger and the plug strings. Donald's going to make sure we got about 15 psi in the tire, get the string prepped, and then coat everything with rubber cement.
Well, yes, he's correct on, like, you want to coat this rubber cement to help it to seal in there, but it's going to be on the outside of the tire. So as he drives, he's going to have rocks and kind of ground stuff going to be attaching it to that part. And like I say, it's still not going to make it a permanent repair. So yeah, it's good. It helps it go in. It'll help it seal the vulcanize, but it still is not a permanent or a good way of making that a permanent repair. So it's still not good enough. I'm sorry, but no.
Rubber cement's cheap, so I make sure it's good and coated. I also like to put a little bit of rubber cement around the patch, pull the reamer, and insert the plug string. Want to make sure the string doesn't go all the way in the tire, then quickly remove the plugger. Air up the tire to the proper PSI, then my least favorite part of the job, which is cleanup. Make sure everything...
Best part of the video, and I will give him props of all of this I've seen so far, is that the way he wrapped up that air hose. Good job. I'll give him that. That was slick, and it's a good little wrap up job. I like that. So the rest of it's crap, but at least he knows how to wrap up a hose. So you make a good apprentice, sort of.
Everything's put away, and well, we've got the truck in the shop. We're going to make sure we've got valve caps on all of the tires. Trim the excess, and this was the waste that was created. I also like to add a little bit of extra rubber cement just to make sure we don't have any leaks. So, done with.
Once you get all that vulcanizing fluid on there, it's just going to create a nice little place for a whole bunch of crap to stick to that, and it's going to be making a noise as you drive down the road. It's going to be tick, 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 because you've got like a bunch of like rocks and stones and shit that's going to be stuck to that and then vulcanize that tire. Once again, like as you're saying, creating the leaks, you do actually want to go fairly in with those plugs as far as you can. Leave a little bit sticking out. But the more you have in, the more as your centrifugal force pushes out, it's going to push back against the where the patch was, where the hole was. It actually should fly out and push up, and it'll actually create more of a seal and kind of seal for as long as it can on the inside. So you actually do want to have a bit more on the inside. You want to leave a little bit sticking out, because you don't want to go all the way in with the plug. We do want to have as much as you can, so that way when it comes, it actually those things actually form, and they'll actually form and kind of push on the outside and help maintain that seal to get you to a repair shop to get a proper rubber patch, and in fact you want to get the patches that has the round patch and it has the rubber part that goes out and pushes through, so it seals the hole, as well as the patches on the inside. And the patches are actually are they're much thicker rubber, and with this sticking sealing stuff in it, as well as you use a vulcanizing solution as well. And those are permanent patches. What he has there is temporary, um, just to get you to the shop, to get you on back on the road, and so you can get a repair done at your earliest convenience. But yeah, don't be thinking that he's making out that this is proper repair. It's by no means a proper repair, and that's not how it should be done at all. So don't take people like this taking their stuff grain of salt. Take a grain of salt. Don't be taking it as God's as any kind of truth. All right, saying that is a legitimate repair, because that certainly is not a legitimate repair, and it does actually run the risk of failing. And the place that you repaired that in is not I wouldn't say that's a repairable area. Anyways, that tire needs to be replaced, taken off. As well as you look at the tread on there, that tire is done anyways. He's actually running with less rubber because his tire treads are getting thin. So I need to just bite the bullet and just replace his tires, because it's going to be just as worn. But yeah, so yeah, this definitely a dodgy channel doing dodgy things.
Done with this and on to the next project.
Alright, so that's time for that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got to the end there. Definitely some dodgy things that this handy and handsome channel is doing. I did look at a few of the other clips they have, and they do, it looks like some general maintenance and just like general things here and there and all sorts of different projects. So I don't think they're legit automotive repair, but I do think they do some stuff. I don't know, but doesn't really matter. But definitely doing some shoddy work and taking some really really stupid risks with their own health and safety and lives in their hand there, and other people as well. So yeah, I really hope that you watch this, and people watch this, they can get the clue, the hope, to see that some of the things they do on here, that they are wrong. They are, putting their risk, their health and safety, their lives at risk, as well as other people's lives at risks. As well as, like, say you're leaving a wheel bearing to the point where it gets that bad, then suddenly you're stuck in a parking lot somewhere, hoping, if you don't have the tools, then I guess you're stuck. So don't be leaving wheel bearings until they collapse. You start hearing that growl, that moan from the back end. Don't leave it too long. Just get it fixed, get it done, and you'll end up being a lot happier, and probably not nearly as out of pocket, where you have to pay for a tow truck and then have to pay for repairs that should have been done months ago. So yeah, thanks for watching. Watch my other channels. Don't forget to like my channel, subscribe, and click comment down below. Let me know what you think of these as well. I'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.